2024 is in the books, and we look ahead to 2025. This is a good time of year to take a look at the annual gift tax exclusion and the federal gift and estate tax unified credit exemption. These are the figures that people are concerned about when they want to understand the tax consequences of making a gift and whether they're going to be taxed on their assets upon death. These figures have been adjusted this year. So let's take a look at what has changed for 2025. And in the process, we'll review how these numbers relate to one another. Now, we're talking about gift and estate tax at the federal level. Each state has its own system of taxation. If you are a Pennsylvania resident and you want to know how this works in Pennsylvania, I'll cover that toward the end of this video. We'll begin at the federal level and we'll start with the annual gift tax exclusion. In 2024, the annual gift tax exclusion amount was $18,000, and for 2025, that figure is being increased to $19,000. So what that means is that you can gift that amount to any individual in the entire world. You won't have to report it on a gift tax return. You won't have to pay any tax on that gift. And remember that for a married couple, each spouse can gift up to the annual exclusion amount to any single person. So in 2025, a married couple will effectively be able to gift up to $38,000 to any single individual without having to report it and without having to pay any tax on that gift. Gifting the annual exclusion amount is a really good way to get assets out of your estate and avoid tax at death. So for people who are looking to take full advantage of the annual gift exclusion, they can gift that amount to multiple people. So for example, if you're married and you have 3 children, you and your spouse can each gift $19,000 per child. So combined, that's $38,000 per child. And the cumulative effect of that gift to each of your 3 children is to move $114,000 out of your estate in a single tax year. So you can imagine over time how this strategy can be used really effectively to avoid death taxes. Next is the federal gift and estate tax unified credit exemption. In 2024, the exemption was 13.61 million. In 2025, that number is going up to 13.99 million. This means that the cumulative effect of taxable gifts made during your lifetime and the value of assets passing upon death are completely exempt from federal gift and estate tax up to this amount. This is an important reminder. There's a common misconception with respect to gifting. The annual exclusion amount, again, $19,000 for 2025, often leads people to think that if they gift more than that figure, they're going to have to pay tax on that gift. And that's not true. You don't pay tax until you exceed the unified credit exemption, which again in 2025 is 13.99 million. So if you make a gift during your lifetime that exceeds the annual exclusion, you have to report it on a gift tax return. And the amount of the gift in excess of the annual exclusion is applied against your gift and estate tax unified credit. So it reduces your lifetime credit. You only pay tax once you exceed the lifetime credit. So very, very few people have to worry about this tax. Now, the elephant in the room. What is going to happen a year from now in 2026? This has been a huge topic of interest and concern by estate planning attorneys across the country. Why? Back in 2017, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was passed, and there were a number of important tax changes that were included in the act. One significant change was a massive increase to the federal gift and estate tax exemption. And the legislation included sunset provisions, which means that the tax changes have an expiration date. Once expired, the changes will revert back to pre-2017 figures, and the expiration date is January 1, 2026, so just 1 year from now. Under current legislation, in January of 2026, the federal gift and estate tax unified credit exemption is going to revert back to $5 million adjusted for inflation, which means that the figure will probably be somewhere around 7 million. But there is a huge but, and this is very much a political issue. And I want to say that I am not a political person at all. If the Democrats had control, it is arguably much more likely that the expiration would take effect. Who really knows? And I don't mean to be cynical about government, but I'm sure there are a lot of Democrats who benefit or who are influenced by people who benefit from the higher tax credit. We may never know because the Republicans got the trifecta in the most recent election. So this means that the Republicans will hold presidency and will have majorities in both chambers of Congress, so both the Senate and the House of Representatives. Now, again, arguably, the Republicans are more likely to pursue efforts to cause the sunset provisions to be extended or to make the increases permanent. Again, I'm not a political person, and I'm certainly not a political commentator. My opinions are my own, and I have my own reasons for forming them, but I'll leave it to the people who know more than I know to help inform your opinion. So here's the point. Unless new legislation is enacted or current legislation is amended, the scheduled sunset provisions remain in place. So it's advisable to stay informed and consult with an estate planning attorney to understand how potential legislative changes may impact your estate planning strategies. I will do my best to keep you current on this channel throughout 2025. I mentioned earlier that each state has its own system of taxation, so it's really important to know how these rules apply at the state level. As an example, in Pennsylvania, where I practice, there is no gift tax. So you can give any amount, whether it's $1 billion or more, and Pennsylvania will not impose any tax on that gift unless it's made within 1 year of death, in which case the gift is subject to Pennsylvania inheritance tax. It's treated as if it were a transfer at death. Pennsylvania also does not have an estate tax, but they do have inheritance tax. So assets passing by reason of death are subject to Pennsylvania inheritance tax from $1. So there's no standard exemption amount. There are deductions and exclusions that may apply, but there's no blanket exemption. If you want to know more about Pennsylvania inheritance tax and its various deductions and exclusions and exemptions, I'll post in the description below 2 separate videos that dive deep into Pennsylvania inheritance tax. So I hope that you had an awesome 2024, and I hope that you have an even better 2025. I'll hope that you continue to join me in these videos, and I'll see you next time.